So folks, I decided to try something different. Instead of typing out something today, I thought I would take you for a walk and I'd just talk to you as I take my hike. The things I write usually come to me during the day, but I don't type them up until evening. A lot of times by the time that comes, it's too late, I'm too tired, and these things just never get done. So if I do it now, if I talk to you straight, nothing will get lost, right? I don't have to worry about spelling errors. So, what's on my mind today? Well, I was thinking today of a dusty cardboard box. It's upstairs, and in it there's a VHS tape, and recorded by yours truly, sometime 30 odd years ago. I'm not sure. Could be an episode of Hee Haw, Roy Clark and the whole Hee Haw gang. Could be the ABC documentary series Our World, which was an excellent program I really miss. But I saved several copies on VHS, but they can stay boxed up in the attic because you can get them all on YouTube now. So, but one of those, I'm sure, has a local TV commercial, and like most local small town TV commercials from that time period, it has a low budget kind of look to it, and it was always one of my favorites. One version was voiced by a woman. I don't know if she was a professional announcer or just somebody maybe associated with the business, but she always had a cheerful voice, what I would call a cheerful Eastern Shore accent. And for those listening who don't know what an Eastern Shore accent is, I'd like to demonstrate it for you, but of course I have no accent. And some would say that perhaps her and I sound alike. I don't know. But to my ears, she sounded right. She was not trying to disguise her voice. And anyway, but later on, the proprietor of this business voiced the commercials himself. And if I think a minute, I can say it just like he did. Basically, the camera would pan on the billboard. There's a famous billboard there, and it pretty much stuck on that billboard, and they would read the words. And it went something like this. This is it. Bargain Bills, the shore's largest flea market. Open year-round. Turn here. And that right there, that simple message, that billboard with a cartoon likeness of Bargain Bill himself, later with Bargain Bill Jr. by his side, that was as a moth to a flame to Bryan. And as soon as he was old enough to motor down Dual 13 in that old Impala, that's where he went to. Countless Saturdays and almost as many Sundays. I'd be there in the morning. Shore's largest flea market, Bargain Bills. It's a business. I think it was started by Bill's aunt and uncle, maybe in the 70s. They had a ramshackle old building, might have started as a chicken house, and had some indoor vendors. But the real star for me was always the outdoor market, stretched across the front of the property near the highway and kind of wrapped around to the side. Some of the booths were under some trees for some nice shade, and eventually they built a covering, a roof over some of the premium spaces. And I remember a lot of the vendors I used to see back then. I remember there was a family that sold produce, and I'll admit I had a little bit of a thing for that farmer's daughter, but she apparently didn't have much of a thing for me. I'd go over there and buy something I didn't need, trying to get the courage up to say something, but well, that never did work. And there was a fellow with matted hair, very friendly, very talkative. He basically dumpster dove. He would sell, among other things, snack cakes that were all crumpled up. The boxes were all crumpled up, maybe stepped on. He'd found them at a dumpster somewhere, and he'd be selling them really cheap. I'm not sure who bought them, but he was there every Saturday. There was an older couple. They came down from Baltimore or somewhere up that way every weekend. I always liked them because they sold kind of odd electronics, different things that they'd pick up. And I was a frequent customer of theirs. One summer, she started wearing her hair under a scarf, and then I realized that she'd lost her hair. And the following summer, she wasn't there at all. It was just him. Another summer went by, and neither one of them was there any longer. There was a guy that you could always count on. He drove an old ambulance that he converted. And on December 31st, 1999, as we all waited to see if the world as we knew it would end, if the power would go out, I realized that I was kind of going to be stuck. I didn't have any type of heat. And that was a weekend, and the flea market, like Billboard said, was open. So that cold day, I went down there, and that fella in the ambulance sold me a kerosene heater, about $40. One of the greatest bits of engineering, I missed seeing it. I told you about the covered booths up front. They had poles. It was kind of built like a pole barn with no sides on it. And they decided to move all of the covered spaces to the back of the building. And so they put in new poles. They did a good job of spacing them, I guess, because they sawed off all the old poles and somehow moved that roof. It must have been hundreds of feet long. They moved it around back and attached it to the new poles. It's just like nothing had happened. The craze of the early 2000s, when there was a lot of speculation in real estate and people were borrowing like crazy, and well, it was kind of rough on Bargain Bills, I guess. He'd made a lot of little changes over the years. He dabbled in a motorcycle shop for a while, and there was a pretty decent antique mall, Sir William's Antiques, that I like to go to. But then he kind of decided to take it to the next level. He totally revamped the building, turned the north end into a part restaurant, part convenience store, part gas station, and a big upstairs where I think he's had some sort of dance club or something like that. He used to have this man and woman come in on the weekends, and up on a little balcony in the restaurant, they would sing really corny country music songs. If you ever heard the song, what's that song? Oh, it'll come to me. Hold on a second. Okay, I remember. The Tennessee Birdwalk. Look up the Tennessee Birdwalk. You could fool me and tell me that they were the original singers of Tennessee Birdwalk. They were quite good at that type of music, and it was hard not to laugh while listening to them. I think they were trying to be earnest and be quite serious in their craft. You could get great pizza there at the restaurant. It was a pretty good thing Bargain Bill had. But he spent a lot of money on that convenience store and that club and all that. And, well, I guess things weren't working out too well. The place got sold. They changed the name. Why they couldn't have held on to that name, I don't know, but they changed it to Laurel Junction. And But it's pretty much stayed the same people, same crowd, same prices, I think. But somehow I had an uneasy feeling. Eventually, they started renting out some space out front to some. I think there was a used car dealer and a marine dealer, and then they sold, or at least part of the parcel, out for a Burger King. Less and less parking, but that outdoor flea market still going strong. I didn't get out there much in recent years. About once a year was about all I got, and probably all I did last year. And it took me until today to make my pilgrimage, my annual pilgrimage to Laurel Junction. And figured Memorial Day weekend it'd be an excellent day to be out at the flea market. I turned in as usual off of 13, and that parking lot was crowded. They were parked out on the street. I'd never seen that before. But I always take the back entrance. Not much traffic back there. So turned on my turn signal, get ready to turn. The back entrance was closed. And I looked around and I realized things had changed to the old stomping grounds. Most of it had been fenced off. Excavators were parked there. A big new sign was announcing that self-storage units were coming soon. The whole area, the entire area where those flea market tables had been, where those roof coverings had been, the whole works, it was all gone, all leveled, all being prepared for self-storage units. They still had a little bit of an outdoor market, and they'd really crammed it in tight against the road, didn't leave much parking. I had to make a U-turn, and when I did, I found that the folks at Burger King didn't want you parking there. I had to park way out front. Some stragglers had set up tables right on the highway. It was busy though. It's a different crowd than it used to be. A lot of Hispanic produce. That's the big thing now. A lot of different faces. The fellow with the ambulance is gone. A lot of the old timers are gone. Not many antiques, not many collectibles. Just some yard sailors. And they must have got there awful early to get a space because there weren't many. It's a pretty sad morning in a way. I did find some bargains. I'd heard of a new flea market opening a few miles south. They'd advertised it in the Sussex Guide. I'd seen it in passing, so I headed down there and wasn't quite sure where to park. I quickly learned that I was the only customer. There were only 3 or 4 vendors. And yes, they outnumbered me. They all noticed my car. I was in my old Chrysler. And first vendor I came to, I want to call her an older looking woman, which is probably unfair. She may indeed be no older than I. But if that's so, she's had a rougher life. What I know is that she looked rather sad that day, and the 2 main things she was selling I thought were pretty interesting. Rainbow flags and Donald Trump hats. Some people might think that's strange, I guess, but I guess not everyone understands that the world isn't black and white. Sure isn't. So I went on to the next vendor. Guy who kind of looked too cool to be there today. He was engrossed in his cell phone. Mostly what he had for sale were cell phone accessories. And I had to think I could read his mind. I could kind of hear him saying to himself, well, this was a bad idea. The last vendor I talked to, they were the most talkative. There's a whole family. They were in an old beat-up pickup truck. Looks like it was about to fold in half. The patriarch of the family, he never got out of the truck. He had his young daughter inside with him. And I talked to the matriarch the most. She mostly was complaining about how chintzy modern cars are and how much they cost to repair. There were a lot of comments about my old car, and they had with them a person. They didn't seem to be related, but who knows? I have to be honest, I don't really know if they were a man or a woman, but they were friendly. They really liked the white walls on my car. They commented that the owner of this new flea market was making big plans. He was hoping to bring in a snow cone stand. Well, best wishes with that. I don't know. On my way home, I tried to sum up what I'd seen this morning. Some folks I found, they have it, and they shun it. Other folks, they beg for it, and they can't get it. I got thinking about the irony of that, and the irony of the fact that where once the money was in selling people junk, now the money, I guess, is in storing the junk they already bought. And I got thinking about how some of the things that'll go into those storage units were bought out there to bargain bills. Some of them, if you're watching from above and tracking them, they might have been bought, sold a few times out there. But maybe no more. I don't know. I'm not sure when else I'll hit on out there to bargain bills. Wasn't quite the same today. Some other days I might have headed to some of the other flea markets, but they're all quite a distance. Down to Salisbury, they have a fine one there in the municipal parking lot downtown. But I hear its days are numbered. Developers are going to be building something big and new there, and that'll be the end of that. So what does it all mean? You know, I was thinking the other night, I had a half thought, one of those things that I wanted to write down, but couldn't quite fit it into anything. I thought about how we all sit at a table made of gold, playing with paper and tin, pieces of string and shiny things. And what does it all mean? Someday it's all just going to be dust. We get fascinated with baubles and candy, looking for truth, looking for wisdom, but it's not there. I went to the flea market today looking for something, not a tool or a toy, but looking for something. And in a way I found it. I found something. Might not have been what I was looking for, but I found it. And hopefully, by listening to me, you found something too. So, I hope you enjoyed my walk and my talk. Maybe I'll do this again. I appreciate each and every one of you. Love y'all.